you're getting intimate, you're starting to kiss and stuff, and the woman's like, I'm just not ready and all that stuff. Don't have a big freaking cow about it. Don't go like, oh, well, this is not, whatever, I paid all this money for. No, dude, chill. Chill out.
Aspire to make a difference.
In this episode, we'll talk about ongoing dates. Again, just like in your first date, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to make sure you're properly groomed and showered and makeup for the ladies if that's something that you normally do. Just like the first dates, you want to kind of chill and get to know the person, not take yourself too seriously and not get too nervous and too wound up in the outcome, things like that. Second dates, third dates are a little easier because at that point you're kind of getting to know the other person. You should be starting to look for if there's any potential yellow or red flags, things that would be violating of your boundaries, whatever your boundaries you set for yourself. There could be a number of different things that you have, especially nowadays. There's a lot of things like open relationships, things like that get brought up, or there could be discussions about exes and something that comes up and the person brings up something from a previous relationship that is like, oh gosh, that looks like a potential landmine. The other one is a lot of newly single people don't want to date like a single mom, for example, or a single dad, somebody with kids. That can also, again, be both a positive and a negative in my experience, but sometimes people just don't want that. If you're a 50 plus year old man, for example, you may not want to date somebody who's in their 30s who has kids that are under 5, that would, if things were to work out, you've got kids you'll be 70 when these kids are, graduating from high school. Those are some of the things you want to look for as you're moving forward through the dating process. And it is, again, just like I said in the previous videos, it is kind of like an ongoing hiring process. This is now dates 2, 3, and 4 end up being like interview 2, 3, and 4. You're really seeing, how is this person going to mesh in my world? Is it going to be like I'm going to have to give up everything, like give up my whole life? Am I going to be in a situation where it's going to be a full partnership? And also kind of keep in mind, as I said about boundaries, start setting the boundaries and getting your expectations of what you want in yourself and what you want in your partner. I've had, in my own experience dating, I had a lot of situations where I dated what you call damsels in distress. I had to rescue the person, they were drowning, that kind of thing. And I've also heard it from women that they have the same thing, where there's guy version of damsels in distress, which you would also call a loser. So that's what I call them. But a guy that doesn't want to work, he just sits on the couch all the time. I don't know if anybody saw the Parks and Rec, the Chris Pratt character, which is so funny. With now he's like this mega star, but when he started out and he's fallen in the ditch, he's got a broken leg and he's sitting on the couch for months at a time and basically complete and total loser. You don't want to be getting yourself into situations like that. Again, you just want to kind of go with the flow on these ongoing dates. I usually start planning out date number 3 when you're done with date number 2, especially if it's going well. And the other thing too is pretty tricky, is if it's not going well, you really have to kind of figure out how the exit ramp is. Again, I don't generally I'm not one to do ghosting, especially at this point. I mean, when you first are talking with a person, it's one thing, but when you're actually dating them and going on dates and things, to me, that's, pretty dick move to ghost somebody that you're actually seeing and dating. And then you want to see really how the chemistry is going. And if the chemistry is not going, or you start hitting these red and yellow flags, then you really need to kind of look at how do we wind this down. And usually it has to be like a frank discussion that, hey, maybe this is not working out. We're looking for different things. And those are the kind of the frank discussions you have to, really take to heart and figure out what works for you and what doesn't. I've dealt with that in the past and ongoing dates. And it's tough. It's not an easy thing to, especially if the other sometimes you get a situation where the other person's really into you and you're not. That becomes very challenging. Just as challenging as the opposite. I've had ones where you go on a second date and things seem to be going well and then they ghost you, they disappear. That has happened several times, so it definitely happens. But also have fun with it, just kind of realize it's It's like sifting and sorting. It's almost like you're looking for the gems, you know, you're panning for gold, so to speak, and you're sifting and sorting through all the pyrite and fool's gold, and now you're trying to find the real gold. And it takes time, you know, it takes time and effort, and sometimes you'll go on 2 or 3 dates and then you'll be like, oh, this just not going. And if you think, well, I could settle and go with this person, but the problem is if you're settling and there's significant red flags, like a buddy of mine, he had a woman that was great, but she lives in, 3 hours away. She lives 3 hours away and has kids in school. Like, she's not going to be able to move. And it just didn't work out because they were 2 hours, 3 hours away. You can only see each other once or twice a month. That wasn't enough to really sustain the relationship. And those are the kind of things you got to look at. Is this going to be sustainable? Can we meld our lives together? And then also, as you're going through these dates, you should be, building up levels of intimacy as well. These days, especially with like Me Too and all that, you have to be extra careful, especially on the men's side, but also women too. In fact, I actually would recommend definitely talking about it, talking about what they're comfortable with. You can give hugs and kisses and things like that, but build up the intimacy, but communicate around that, what the person's comfortable with. And anything they're not, my experience has been, especially with women that are younger and older, a lot of women especially have been through a lot of trauma, as have men, but particularly women. I mean, there's a lot of asshole guys out there that really have taken advantage of women and made guys like ourselves look like assholes, all like assholes. And so you want to show yourself as being not one of those kind of guys. So if things are moving forward, you're getting intimate, you're starting to kiss and stuff, and the woman's like, I'm just not ready and all that stuff, don't have a big freaking cow about it. Don't go like, oh, well, this is not, whatever, I paid all this money for. No, dude, chill, chill out. Her not wanting to go to the next step is her not wanting to go step with you now. Doesn't mean she never wants to go to that step. Don't start putting these extra words and extra things into the vocabulary. Realize that just because she's not ready now and doesn't mean she's never going to be ready. Enjoy the whole process, enjoy the lessons, enjoy the, going with getting to know her. And the same thing for the opposite. I don't think women have quite as much trouble with that because men have trauma, but usually women are the gatekeepers, of course, as most men and women would agree. They're usually the gatekeepers of what level of intimacy is going on at the beginning. Don't push, but also talk and say, hey, I am interested. I would like, to move on to another level. Thank you for watching the video. In this video, we talked about ongoing dates. One thing to definitely be aware of is the yellow and red flags. And if you start running across a lot of yellow flags or a couple of red flags that are no-goes, be sure to stop it at this level. You don't have to keep going for any reason. I mean, any reason at this point, you can pretty much call the game. Please like and share this video with anyone who may benefit from its content. It's word of mouth from people like you who will help this channel to grow.